How's it going, everybody? This is the Stimulus Check Hub here to give you your daily stimulus check and unemployment benefits updates and the latest information. If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. A like and a comment are always appreciated. Also, if you wouldn't mind sharing this with your friends and family, because I'm sure they would also like the most up-to-date information on their stimulus checks and unemployment benefits available anywhere on YouTube, which is what I try to provide here on this channel.
Now, for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the fact that this is something Governor Newsom has been proposing, and it makes sense, right? People need help with inflation, and one of the largest inflated things is gas, okay? And along with rent and utilities and things like that. Now, Governor Newsom is one of the most progressive Democrats when it comes to stimulus. Now, although a lot of people really don't like Gavin Newsom, he did a fourth and then a fifth stimulus check in California, so that's really, really good. But I will say he excluded seniors from those fourth and fifth stimulus checks, and basically he made it that you had to actually pay taxes. Now, there's something similar going on with this one, but let's take a look and see whether or not you would qualify, because there's a similar thing that says you have to file your taxes. But that kind of puts us in a situation where it's still tax season, so if you file your taxes, even if you don't owe anything, could you still get the gas tax rebate? Let's take a look, see what they said, what we know so far, and then, we'll let you know whether or not we think you'll qualify and whether or not we think this could end up being a national level program. Really quick, let's take a look and see what the news station said as soon as this rebate was announced, and then we'll take a look and see exactly who qualifies, and again, whether or not we think this might end up happening at the national level.
As gas prices across the nation and, of course, right here in the Bay Area continue to rise, lawmakers are looking to try to alleviate some of that pain that we're all feeling at the pump. Today, state lawmakers are going to lay out a proposal that would give everyone in the state hundreds of dollars in the form of a rebate due to all these rising gas prices we're seeing. Today in the Bay, Sierra Johnson joins us live now to break down this proposal and what Bay Area drivers are now paying to fill up. It's a little painful, Sierra.
Good morning, Laura. Yeah, it's really quite expensive to fill up. Right now, we're in Mill Valley at the Chevron station there on Seminary Drive. $5.99 a gallon for a regular gallon of gas. And that really seems to be about what folks across the Bay Area are paying. Now, we have this full screen. It's from AAA, what you can expect to pay in any of the counties in the area. So take a look at your screen. The average gas there, Solano County, $5.76. Folks in San Francisco can expect to pay closer to $5.94. San Mateo County, $5.88, and Santa Clara County currently sits at $5.81 for a gallon of regular gas. And in light of these prices, later today, about a dozen assembly members will roll out a proposal to give every California taxpayer, even those that don't drive or even own a car, a $400 rebate to ease the pain at the pump. The funding for the rebate would pull $9 billion of the state budget surplus, and those proposing the rebate believe it would be a better alternative than suspending that gas tax. But some, as you can imagine, some of the folks we spoke with says more needs to be done.
I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough money to for us to, especially in this hard times.
And as you can imagine, this rebate proposal, it's simply that, a proposal. For it to actually get that rebate, it's going to have to go through several channels, including some commissions as well as some votes. But potentially, there could be a rebate on the table if it does go successfully.
All right, so they're working on that $400 stimulus check. He literally said he wants to do it just like a stimulus check. And if you look at the math, first of all, California has the highest freaking gas prices in the country, right? Let me know in the comments if you guys are being hurt by gas prices. I know I've gotten so many comments from people struggling with gas and utilities and things like that. We've been talking about this for months. Obviously, this is getting completely out of control. Now, although we'd like a long-term solution where gas prices come down, giving people a direct payment makes sense, especially folks who are lower income. Now, the surprising thing here is the way they announced it, they are not going to make people actually qualify based off of being lower income. According to the way they announced it, at least the way it's currently proposed, anyone who pays taxes or file their taxes would qualify for getting this gas tax rebate. And the implication of that is you're probably going to get people who make $80,000, $90,000 per year getting this tax rebate, when really, to be honest with you folks, that money should be focused on those who are lower income. So let me know in the comments if you agree. Now, the problem with that is we've gone over months and months of government saying that we don't have enough money for those who are lower income, but then we're doing things like a gas tax credit and giving it to everyone, even people who make a lot of money. And if you have to file your taxes, that means that those who are the lowest income, who don't even pay taxes, therefore don't file taxes, aren't even going to get the rebate. So the main caveat here is one, you don't have to own a car, you don't have to drive, but you have to live in California and you have to file taxes. Now, stick with me here, folks. I know currently this is just in California, but we're thinking this might maybe end up at the national level. So the way it's currently proposed, you have to file your taxes, and with it being in the middle of tax season, it has us wondering, if you go ahead and file your taxes now, even if you don't owe anything, will you then get the gas tax rebate? Well, all we can do is really look at how the previous stimulus checks worked. For example, the second stimulus check, or even, actually all of the stimulus checks, if you didn't get the stimulus checks based off of your previous qualifications, for example, if you didn't qualify based off of your income, you could then file your taxes and get it next year. Now, with the first and second stimulus check, they also had a portal where you could go in there, update your information to then get your stimulus check even more quickly, so you wouldn't have to wait until next year. Now, basically, if you didn't file your taxes last year and you try and file your taxes now, that on itself will not expedite the process of getting this $400 rebate check. Again, this is if it comes to fruition. We're just talking in hypotheticals right now. It's only at the proposal level in California. We're hoping it actually passes, and then they end up doing it at the national level. But basically what I'm trying to say here is, even if you file your taxes now, that won't actually speed up the process for getting that $400 check. What they would have to do is create a portal which allows you to update your information and then get that $400 check a lot more quickly, if that kind of makes sense. I know that was a little bit confusing, but that's basically how it would work. Otherwise, you would have to file your taxes next year and then get that retroactively. And I just want to point out that there's been a lot of talk lately about things getting better. And I know if you're watching this video, you personally, your situation probably has not gotten better. But we've had a lot of news lately about the stock market recently has been going up. People who are middle income to upper income, they think things are getting better. They're investing in the stock market again. And a lot of this has to do with inflation, interest rates, and the global economic conflict. Now, the Federal Reserve just had a meeting yesterday, and they basically told people they're going to raise interest rates slowly but surely over the next couple of years, so they shouldn't expect to see interest rates really pop through the roof. This made people feel good from an investment standpoint, so now the stock market's going up, people are feeling good, and there's this huge sentiment that with summer coming up, there's going to be a huge surge in demand with people going out and spending their money, especially since this is really going to be the first complete reopening that we've had since 2019. And I just want to point out that, obviously some people are doing well, but then we have a lot of people who are moderate to lower income who are still struggling. And I feel like just like always happens with our government, though they get the votes, they get into office, they promise to do things like increase benefits and take care of those who are low income, and then they basically just brush it aside, right? All they're talking about, these things are important, but they're talking about Russia, they're talking about inflation, they're talking about the midterm elections, but they're not even talking about all of the promises they made, like increasing benefits like SSI and ssdi and Medicare and things like that. They're not even talking about the $1,000 voucher check that Bernie Sanders was trying to get approved for seniors as well. So although there are things getting better for some, there are still millions of Americans out there struggling. And this global political conflict could get worse. I almost feel like people are getting comfortable and, it's been a few weeks, so we're kind of used to this being, the new normal of this conflict happening. But this could raise gas prices, which has massive effects on inflation. Folks, inflation could still get worse. If you look on your screen, first I want to point out that a lot of people think inflation numbers will get better in the next 3 to 6 months because of something they call base effects. And basically that means you're comparing this year's numbers to last year's, and because last year's numbers were so high as well with inflation, that means this year's might not be as high, because what are the odds of us going up 8% year over year after we just went up 8% last year? If that kind of makes sense. I know it's a bit confusing. But we have a lot of things that could still get worse. And if you look on your screen, these are the 8 groups that are taken into account when you calculate inflation or CPI, and housing and transportation, just those two components, make up about 60% of the inflation formula, right? And then rent is expected to go through the roof. We've been hearing reports about rent skyrocketing over the last 6 to 12 months, and with summer coming up, people renewing their leases, this is expected to get worse in the next 6 months. This is absolutely expected to get worse. Unfortunately, it's really terrible, especially for folks who are on a fixed income. Transportation, we have gas going through the roof. We have cars still costing a ridiculous amount. We have airline tickets currently skyrocketing as well because one of their main costs is gas, and gas is going through the roof. So transportation and housing, probably, we don't like to predict things right to the T, but we like to take probabilities, and most likely, housing and transportation will continue to pop, and those could drive inflation for easily the next 6 months, right? So although people think inflation might go down, especially because of those base effects, if these two things, housing and transportation, continue to go up, we're in trouble, folks, and this could last longer than we thought. This is why we need things like that $400 gas tax credit, and we honestly need it at a national level, folks. Let me know if you agree. Let me know your thoughts on that gas tax rebate. Obviously, I just want to point out that this would have to be a scenario where they need to allow seniors to qualify for it. And this was an issue we had originally when the first stimulus check came out. They said, you would have to be a taxpayer, you could get it when you file your taxes, and that kind of left seniors out. You might not remember this, but if you're a senior, you probably do. When the first stimulus check was first announced, a lot of seniors were worried, right? And then we actually had Democrats come out and they had to hold a meeting, and they actually had to change the wording of the bill to make sure seniors on Social Security and SSI who don't file taxes could get their stimulus checks immediately through the Social Security Administration. We'd probably need something similar to that with this gas tax credit. Now, although at this point, guys, let's be honest, we don't want to get our hopes up too much. We've been waiting for a fourth payment, specifically that voucher for seniors that Bernie Sanders was pushing for like at least the last 6 months. So we don't want to get our hopes up too much, but I do want to point out that, Democrats have really discovered that passing stimulus checks helps them win elections. I've said it 1,000 times. And with the midterm elections coming up in November, something that could happen is they could propose this gas tax credit, and they could say, hey, we're going to pass this. Unfortunately, this is really bad, but they might say, we're going to pass this right after the election as long as you guys vote us back in and we have control of the Senate. Literally the exact same thing they did in Georgia when they won those 2 Senate seats in 2021.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. A like and a comment are always appreciated. Also, if you wouldn't mind sharing this with your friends and family, because I'm sure they would also like the most up-to-date information on their stimulus checks and unemployment benefits available anywhere on YouTube. Have a good one.